Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be looking at the Land Cruiser 1958. This is the affordable Land Cruiser. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Brent Brown Toyota here in Orem for giving me some time with this Land Cruiser. I'll include a link to the website in the description down below so you can check what they have currently. If you have any questions, need any help, just ask for Kyle. I'll also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Under the hood we have a turbo 2.4 liter 4-cylinder that is paired to an 8-speed and a hybrid. Fuel economy is 22 around town and then 25 on the highway, with power outputs being 326 horsepower and then 465 pound-feet of torque. This is the only powertrain option available for this. Now before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So this one's obviously finished in black, which I think is a pretty cool color on the Land Cruiser. Now the 1958 comes with the cool circular headlights. You actually get fog lights with this package. This section right here is painted on the mid trim, whereas on the 1958 here it's unpainted. So it definitely gives it a more plasticky look, but again, in black, it just kind of all fits together. Now those little air dams at the very bottom, those are really easy to take off. I'd recommend taking those off as soon as you take delivery of your Land Cruiser because they look dorky. Now our turn wheel setup is 245 by 70 by 18 in the front and over in the rear. And you can see here with the wheels, you've got the metallic gray there. And this does have a narrower track compared to the more loaded up package, just something to note. But you still get the giant fender flares, which is kind of cool. Got little splash guards there. You can see it's unpainted there along the bottom. And then we've got the cool boxy mirror caps. This one actually has the roof rack, which I've been impressed with on mine. It doesn't make any wind noise really, so you don't really lose anything, but you get the added practicality of having a roof rack. Now you do get the more basic key fob with the 1958, so it doesn't have the cool Land Cruiser logo on it, but again, more simplistic. And speaking of more simplistic, the hatch here in the back is hydraulic, so not power. Tons of storage space here in the rear. Again, the battery pack does get in the way a little bit. Got a little charging port here off to the side. USB ports, and yes, you do have cup holders back here because overseas you can get this with a third row, but here you can't. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty darn practical. When you're all done, you just have these little grab handles so you can just plop that down. You do still get the window opening, so just press that. That'll open up the window for this as well. And then you've got the bezel covers the receiver hitch. These tow about 5,000 roughly. And it's the rest of the rear. Now taking a look at the rear, it's going to be kind of plasticky on the door panel. Again, this is the more baseline package, but what I do like in this is these seats. I wish you could get these seats in the higher package because they're really cool. It's like this durable cloth trim, very nice feeling. Got storage there. You can see here we've got our own climate zone in the back. It actually says Land Cruiser there at the top, which is cool. Some USB charging ports down below, and then with the box design, got good headroom. We also have vents up top too. And then this leads us up front, where again, it's going to be more basic with the trim all throughout. Got all of our window controls here. The mirrors do power fold in. They also have blind spot monitoring. Payload on this is 1,100 pounds. And then here's the front seat. Manually adjustable, of course. This baseline. Then you got like your collision assistance right there, turn that on or off. Trailer brake controls integrated down below too. And then I love the vents. Now take a look at the steering wheel, nice trim all around. I like it quite a bit. And then we've got adaptive cruise control with this, lane centering. We've got your volume and voice command controls as well. Regular old stocks there on the back. And then you can see digital gauge cluster here in the center. So even the baseline gets the digital, which you can use to scroll through and see different bits of info on systems within the car. Pretty straightforward setup. And this is where the drive modes will also pop up here. It's easy to use. Just a backup camera in reverse, nothing too crazy. And you do get a smaller screen unit, but still functions pretty much the same. So there's not really that big of a difference. Then you do have an analog volume control built in with that as well. Actually, turn that on. And then down below we've got some vents here. And then notice it's all plasticky here on the dash. The very top though is actually soft touch, believe it or not. Heated seats, dual zone climate with this, heated steering wheel as well. And then you got a little storage area here with some USB ports. Shifter for the 8-speed automatic. Got your drive mode select. You also have your ECT second, and then crawl control. We don't have any multi-terrain select with this. Got your parking brake with your brake hold. And then we have our four-wheel drive select. This does have four-wheel drive low, which is cool. Center locking differential and rear. This is for the stabilizer bar disconnect that the higher end models get. Got stability control, some cup holders, big center console. Nice trim. So this has the same trim as what you get in the higher models with the center console, which is, I think, a plus. And then, yeah, that's solid. Just regular rear view mirror, and then no center for anything like that. Now, there's just a few options added to this. The most expensive is going to be that roof rack. Total MSRP is about $60,000 with this, and see how it performs. Well, Land Cruiser 1958. By the way, visibility in the new Land Cruiser is pretty darn solid with the boxy design. I was really, before I bought my Land Cruiser, I bought a used first edition. I considered a 1958, but there was a few things that pushed me over the board. First off was a deal on the first edition, because again, a used car with 3,000 miles. It was nice. Someone else took a hit for me. But the other thing was, I like Toyota's multi-terrain select. It's actually really cool. Mostly off-roading, I do everything myself, but it's nice to have that peace of mind. Like, if I do something just absolutely stupid, the car can save me. So that's part of it. This still has crawl control though, so. And then also, you know, stabilizer bar disconnect. Thought it'd be fun to have that on the channel to try out. And then there's just some other stuff, and this might seem stupid to those of you that are watching this video, but it felt like, because of the price difference, especially compared to the, I don't know, some of the stuff, it felt like it was worth it. So the bottom section that I showed you over the fog light being painted, it makes the car look so much better. Little thing, stupid, but it's like, looks so much better. 360 camera system's really nice for both on-road and off-road use. And a lot of the off-roading I do, I'm not doing super difficult trails, and a lot of times I'm just doing a quick thing going by myself, so it's nice to have a camera system that helps me kind of self-spot. And then having the cooler in the center console, again, I know, stupid, but I get food from all over Utah, and so it's nice. If I pick up something, you know, an hour away from my house, I can put it in the fridge so it doesn't go bad by the time I bring it home. So that stuff is nice. And yeah, I mean, other than that though, like, if I could build out like my perfect Land Cruiser, right, with this new Land Cruiser, also the wider track, that was the other thing. It was kind of a bit annoying. I've heard people are doing wheel spacers on these because of the narrower track, which is, yeah. Anyways, if I could build up my perfect spec, what it would be is basically the first edition, but with these seats. And I know that sounds silly, but I really like these seats. They're super cool. But that would be the perfect Land Cruisers. Everything the first edition has with the looks and all of that, and then just with the cloth seats, and then obviously no air conditioned seat with cloth seats, because that just never happens. I don't know, but that's kind of how I would run it. So anyways, 1958, if you drive this, you drive a mid-trim, you're not really going to notice on-road the driving difference. And that is something that I do think is important to note, is that you are not going to be able to perceive the difference between this and a higher up package with the driving dynamics. It's going to be the features you get. So if you aren't going to be using this as an adventure vehicle, and you could still use this as an adventure vehicle, but if you aren't, then unless you like the upgraded techie bits of the mid trim, this is kind of the way to go, because it still has the same powertrain, still drives really well, and you just add some wheels with some not full on negative offset, but you know, less positive offset than this, and you could have a good aggressive look for a lot less money than a mid trim, or less money than definitely a first edition. So it's cool, it drives well. And the new Land Cruiser, I've been pretty impressed with it so far. I wasn't initially sold on it, but after living with one for a week, that definitely sealed the deal for me. And I really enjoy my first edition. The new Land Cruiser is not an exciting car to drive per se. Like, the acceleration's good, but it's not gonna blow your mind. And the off-road capability is really good, but then it also lacks quite a bit of ground clearance, so it's not going to blow your mind. But it just does everything really well, and it's comfortable, and it gets decent fuel economy. Again, that's not accurate. I'm able to get like over 20 miles per gallon on average in mine, my first edition. So it's like you get good gas mileage, and it just drives well. And it looks cool too. Like every time I get out of my car, I look back at it and I'm like, oh, that's a cool looking car. And I still have the stock tires on it. I haven't even added aggressive tires yet, which I will be doing. And so I think they did a good job. And I've said this in the past, I'll say it again. I think this is really a great car to get if you are a 4Runner owner. Again, I own a 200 series. That's what my wife drives. And I think that this is an obvious downgrade, right, from the 200 series. And again, this is a 250. It's not a full-on 300, so it makes sense. But for someone who's in a 4Runner, this has more power, gets better fuel economy, has about the same space. You've got the same wheelbase. By the way, this is the same car as the new 4Runner. The only difference between this and the new 4Runner that's coming out, the 2025, is this has a full-time four-wheel drive system, whereas the new 4Runner has the traditional 2-speed transfer case. Pretty much everything else is the same, right? Except for the looks. And so I think this is a better alternative to the new 4Runner. And I think this is a great alternative to people that want something that's different than the 5th gen 4Runner. So that's kind of where the Land Cruiser sits. And I do think that once the new 4Runner comes out, once people are able to see it, drive it and all of that, even the Trail Hunter and the TRD Pro, I think those will of course sell because of the names, but they're also going to be expensive. I think the Land Cruiser is going to end up being the one that everyone wants because it looks better than the new 4Runner, and it has a better four-wheel drive system, and darn easy to modify. I just think that this one will end up being the one that everyone wants, including over the Lexus GX. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about the 1958. I think around $60,000 for an off-roader. Pretty good.